Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tomas Melisko. I'm leading the Symbiosis product at Reavis. Reavis, we are an international workspace solution provider. And more importantly, we'd like to change the status quo in real estate. And today I would like to talk about how to boost office experience for people through PropTech solutions. But before I start, can I just ask you two simple questions? How many of you in the room think that real estate is one of the least innovative industries out there? Perfect. And how many of you think that we can change it? And that's why you're here today. Great. So it's same for us. And we're actually very happy to see more and more office buildings popping up with the ability to connect users and ability to boost people's productivity and well-being. But yet, unfortunately, we are still not there. We see many buildings, and you and me, we might work in them, and we spend over 2,000 hours per year in buildings that actually give us very little feedback about what is the environment in these buildings and how they actually impact our mental and physical health. And this is what we would like to change. In this presentation, I'll be introducing our approach to harvesting data and improving people's productivity and well-being. And I'll be using live data, so hopefully the Wi-Fi connection will be here with me today and helping me out. And we'll look at the data from three perspectives. We'll see the first perspective as a person working in the building and trying to see where and how to work in order to be productive at the day. The second view will be of a facilities and office experience manager trying to harvest the data to improve the office experience in the building. And finally, this is something which is emerging lately, is we'll try to look at the data, real estate data, from a perspective of a CEO, an HR executive, a team leader, trying to understand how people interact in the building. So we have indoor positioning data to tell us a little bit of insight into collaboration networks in our buildings. So let's start with the first product. And the first product here we created is our end user dashboard, which shows us data about weather in UV zone. This is data, live data, pulled through from the weather station we have on top of our building. It's measuring several elements, and at the moment we see that it's actually 52 out of 100, which means it's moderate. We have seen several spikes last week, and this was due to the fact that the weather was picking up the dust from the construction site nearby, and in that case we have been notifying people not to open the windows in the meeting rooms or actually to limit the time outside. So you see the dominant factor at the moment is 2.5 p.m., which is basically a dust particle. When we move into the space, now this is the live data from our headquarters office in Bratislava, showing us aggregated view on the CO2 temperature and humidity. It's actually aggregated view from 111 sensors that we have in our space, collected every 4 minutes. And we can actually drill down from the whole space and look at what's happening in the meeting rooms. So we see, and we typically tend to see that the CO2 data can be a bit worse for the meeting spaces. Typically what happens, people actually bring more chairs in the rooms than they were designed for, so the HVAC system is not able to cope with that. But as a facilities manager, you can then identify where are the weak spots, and you can actually look into the solutions for people. Another use case that we see often is helping people to understand how to actually find available meeting rooms. And this is a view of 10 of our meeting rooms at the moment. This is live data. So whatever is red, it means there are people in the space. Whatever is green, it's available. Now just the data was uploaded. So meeting room A means there are 7 people in there. We're using people counting technology from Point Grab. But the room was designed for 6 people. So we can actually then look what is the indoor quality in that space. But what is interesting, meeting room A was booked and people are there. Meeting room B, you don't see the small symbol, which is here, means people just showed up. And this is fine as long as you can manage your capacity of meeting rooms. But what I see here in meeting room C1 and H is something you don't really want to see. It means people booked the room, but they didn't show up. So people typically find the fact that they don't have enough meeting spaces just because sometimes they have these occurring meetings, they book the meeting rooms, but they don't show up. So we would then, after 5 minutes of you not showing up, we would debook the room, potentially notify you of the fact that you have a couple more minutes to show up, otherwise we debook the room for you. We are monitoring the trends, so for last week, the peak hours were between 10 and 11, and then in the afternoon, Wednesday was day off, so no meetings on that day. And actually this kind of information is useful for the office manager to prepare the welcome staff and the cleaning service to kind of cater for these peak times. Another use case we can look at is actually getting live data from the environmental sensors. So Now it's coming through. As you can see, the timestamp on the right side will show us when the data was uploaded. It's plus 1 hour. I have the CET time on. Coming through, Power BI, help me here. Okay, here we go. So, as you can see, the timestamps are very actual, and we can look at what's happening in terms of CO2. So, anything that's below 1,000 means that the room is still fine for you. What is above 1,000, being in that kind of environment for a longer period of time, it means that you can have a headache and be actually less productive. So I see that we have 3 rooms which have CO2 past 1,000. In that case, you would notify the people with a notification in the room, please open the windows or cut your meetings shorter. We also have VAV capabilities, which allow us to transfer air from areas where we don't need that air because there is no one in, into those areas where people are actually. But of course, system has its limits. You cannot have the ultimate and unlimited dimension of air. Therefore, you still need to work with people and try to explain them that, guys, if the meeting room is designed for 6 people, if you have 12 people there for a meeting, this is not going to work for you. We also created our own integrated platform. So this is kind of a mirroring image live data from meeting room number 5. There is an integration with booking systems. So this room is now available. I can book it for the next 15 minutes. Goes directly into Outlook. When you are present in that room, you get an information about CO2 levels and why they are important, and there is a small chart showing you how it was actually changing during your meetings. Also, the VAV system is now kind of, let's say, in a middle range because there is basically no one in, the CO2 is fine. If we have peak times, the building is automatically calculating what to do, boosts the room with more air just to make sure that people are still productive. We have different scenes. Actually, we noticed that people don't tend to use them that much. They still like to kind of adjust the shading and light on their own, and temperature, of course. Now we have the information from the weather station, kind of notifying people not to open the windows due to high air pollution. But one of the most favorite features is this, getting the espresso catered to you through our barista. This is something that people love. And let's see if I can show you how quick the solution is. Apologies for the internet here. So let's see if I can hack into the building, quickly put the shades down, hopefully, yeah, there they go down. So this is actually super fast. We're connected to Siemens, Schneider, Honeywell, so we can actually build on top of these solutions our own platform. One of the next products I would like to show you is what we call a digital twin, a living digital twin of the office. So we have these around our space in Bratislava. This is one floor, around 450 people working on this floor. And this is much like you would find in a shopping mall. So you come to the totem, let's say you are a new employee, you don't know where to find people and how to interact with the space. So you want to find certain areas of interest. So you get to click on the music room, which is our fancy, actually music room where you can listen and wind down a little bit. Or you are looking for available meeting space. So whatever is green is available, whatever is orange is not available. It's past 5:30 in Slovakia, so not a lot of people are actually already in the office and using the booking system. But then you can go, click on a certain meeting room, and again, you get the live view on what is the environment in the space, so you can actually choose the best ideal meeting space for you, for brainstorming activities, whatever. Again, we're putting the data through the environmental sensors from the whole space, and we're creating these heat maps. What is actually greener means that the space is cooler. Whatever goes to red means it's warmer, so you can choose your ideal temperature setting for working. Same goes for humidity and CO2. So we're trying to still commission the space. We moved in 4 months ago, so we're trying to balance the system out so we'll have, ideally, more of these green spaces throughout the space. As I mentioned, interactions, we are able to collect the data on how people move through the space. We have a technology from a company called Coupa, and we integrated the chip from that indoor positioning system into our custom-made badge. It's made from wood, so it's very sustainable. And it actually allows us to see how people use the space. So all the employees have the badges with them. And the data we get is these dots of actual people moving through the space. The accuracy we're able to achieve is 0.8 meters. Now, there is so many use cases we can do with that data. So first of all, we're able to understand which areas people prefer, which areas they use more. And actually, based on that data, we can actually feedback this information to our office management team, who can then, in real time, change some of these areas, being able to operate the space more efficiently. And over time, this kind of data allows us to predict how the building is going to behave on certain days. And this will allow us to also improve facility management and energy operations of the space over time. We can actually go to see our London office. Okay, quite a lot of more people. So the accuracy here is actually super, super important. If you are an accuracy of 2 to 3 meters, you're not able to understand if a certain person is in one meeting room or the other. So we're saying whatever is at least 1 meter accurate allows you to do all of these use cases. And what to do with the data? So basically, we are harvesting all the data goes into our data lake, and we are then looking at how the space is used over time. So this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so forth. Allows you to understand how the building comes alive during different days in the week. But also then you can look at certain areas. So what we noticed when we looked at kitchens and our dining areas, that people tend to use them more on Mondays and Tuesdays and less on the remaining days of the week. And we kind of came to the conclusion that they cook on Sundays and they then bring the lunch in on Mondays and Tuesdays. When we go then to look at different profiles, and this is where you get the data from indoor positioning and how people from different departments use the space, you can observe some interesting patterns. When we look at our accounting department, we see 80%, over 80%, 84% of their time they are actually spending in their office environment. Very little usage of meeting rooms, common areas, brainstorming areas. And actually, we can see that during the lunchtime, they don't tend to leave. So it means they are eating their lunches most likely at their workstations, which is something as a team leader you want to address potentially, kind of have your people move around the office and kind of mingle with the other departments. When I look at our team leaders and our senior management, I see a completely different pattern. Most of their time they are actually spending in meeting rooms. So I want to make sure that they know what is the environment around them, because if they are spending 4 to 5 hours in a meeting room and the CO2 is not good for them, then this would have a substantial impact on productivity of these people. And of course, they probably prefer to eat out more often than the other teams. What we are able to then do is to build an interaction map and understand how the different departments interact. And this is where we get to really the topic of the CEO and HR. This is data which you would not be able to get from any other source, not from your mail accounts, not from your booking systems. This is physical interaction. So a proximity of 2 people in space in a certain environment for a certain period of time allows us to understand how different departments are connected. So if you click on a certain department, you get their own specific interaction map. You'll see with whom they spend most of their time and where do they actually interact with these people. So this is where Symbiosi wants to understand and provide the clients with the most beneficial insights into not just, okay, my real estate is there, it's this efficient, but also how it supports what my company is good at, where is the value created, which departments need to meet with which departments. And you, of course, get different views. We're experimenting with different views and different understandings of how to interpret data. So for example, here, this is for a certain period, kind of a brain map of interactions of different departments. So if I want to see how our seniors are connected to remaining parts of the organization, what I see is that they have quite a lot of interaction between themselves, between the board of directors, but potentially not as involved, let's say, with product design. So, and product design is one of the areas where we see the most value generated. So these are kind of the insights we would then, through our workspace consultants, discuss with the clients, and using the technology for allowing the clients to build their own understanding of organization, and we'll be helping them to understand how their space can support their strategy and vision. Thank you very much.